Well, hi, welcome to Joy Hub. We're Barry and Tracy, and we exist to help teams, leaders, and couples journey into deeper joy. And we're glad to be with you, glad to be
Mm-hmm.
feeling better.
Yes,
Still
yes,
not 100%, but we're getting there.
yes.
Battling a little bit of a cold. And we want to follow up on a topic that we talked about last time, which is how to not let finances steal your joy.
Yeah. In fact, if you want to go back and watch that one, you can click above. Um, what we thought we'd share today is a little on budgeting as a follow up to not letting finances steal our joy. Because we've just found that to be extremely helpful for us. So we want to share some of the benefits we've realized through this process, through these years of budgeting together, and maybe even a little bit of the how to, and maybe most importantly, the why of budgeting. So the first benefit that comes to mind that I think of in regards to budgeting is that we are one. In marriage, we are one, and we want to be on the same page when we can be, and we want to strive for that. And so I think just being aligned together on our certainly our view of money and our view of how we're going to give, how we're going to save, how we're going to spend, just that alignment I think is really important.
I think so, because if you're not on the same page, then you got one person kind of sabotaging another's goal, and so if you're sharing the same goal,
That's good.
then it gets both people excited about it because you're both working toward a common goal, and so I think that can be tricky to find that common goal when you have different personalities or different type of viewpoints of money in general. But I think it's important to get on the same page for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think the second benefit that I would want to share is that being on a budget has always helped us live within our means. Thankfully, as we've gotten a little bit older, and especially as we've gotten some of the kids out of the nest, and we love them deeply, but we do have some more means now than we have before. But no matter where we're at, we've always sought to live within our means, and a budget really helps with that.
Yeah, and I can remember because I didn't grow up with any budget. It was just like, live paycheck to paycheck kind of mentality. But when we did sit down and do a budget, even though in the early days we had no money, like very little money, I remember realizing like, oh, I have a clothing budget. Like, so if I live within my means in all these other areas, like I can go out and buy something. A new outfit or something. And so it was very freeing for me to not feel guilty about something because I could see where all the money was going and there was still going to be enough left over. So it freed me up to enjoy shopping a little bit more even.
Yeah. Which kind of leads to the third benefit that I was going to share, and that is kind of a rescue from impulsiveness, that being on budget does protect us from and we all have different impulses, and there actually is a time to splurge. We would actually say live within your means, but also have some margin so that you can splurge, but you don't want to always be splurging. And so I think it's really helped us to not live or spend impulsively.
That's so true. And like when we're on vacation with our kids, like one of the things that we always told our kids is typically when we go out to eat, like we order water. Like we just don't want to spend tons of money on soft drinks.
It's like an extra $20 if everybody gets a soft drink.
Plus our kids didn't grow up drinking a lot of soda and stuff, so that's helped their overall health. But when we're on vacation, we're like, get whatever you want, order soda, and they're like, woo, so it becomes like a big deal on vacation where we're like, we go to the store, put whatever you want in the grocery cart on vacation. Like they love grocery shopping with dad the first day.
We get to fill it with all the junk food.
Yes.
All the sugar.
Yes.
All the sugar. The fourth benefit is living on a budget encourages generosity. Again, it leaves room for generosity. In fact, we've always had the philosophy, and we'll talk a little bit about this when we get to the how-to, but we've had the philosophy that giving comes first, that giving comes off the top. And then the last is just an objectivity versus being stressed, wondering, is there going to be enough, wondering where we are, just it gives us something objective to look at. And when it's gone, it's gone. When something in one category is gone, it's used for the month.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that we're able to live with objectivity and not subjectivity in regards to our budget.
Yeah, and we've been able to do that at different levels of a budget. In the early days, we did this with cash envelopes. When the eating out envelope was empty, it was empty.
That's right.
And now we have a little bit more cushion, but we still try to stay within those means. And so I think that's important, no matter if you're just starting out or if you have more cushion in the budget.
Yeah. So let us share just a few of the how-tos. And if you know us, we're not prescribing anything. We're simply just sharing, hey, these are some things that have worked for us.
Yeah.
And the first, and maybe some of you have heard this, is the 10-10-80 philosophy, or even rule, if you want to use that term. 10-10-80. And that is, we believe God has called us to give at least 10%, to give cheerfully. And we believe biblically that's at least 10%. And then for us, we seek to save 10% and then live off 80%. And what we've always done, actually, I take that back. We haven't always done it with the second 10%. We're getting better at the saving part. But especially with the giving, it's always come, it's just automatically out. And then we're getting better. The need has shown itself greater the older we get as we move towards our 70s. We're not anywhere close yet, but as we move closer to retirement age, we want to be faithful to at least be saving 10 and probably even a lot more just to catch up a little bit. So the 10-10-80 has been really important. Any thoughts you would share on that?
I know our pastor had like different jars, and he put them in front of us one Sunday morning, and it was the 10-10-80 rule, and that was really helpful to think about. Like, it's really important to be saving and giving God the first and the best, and so that was a really powerful principle for me. And I think it's just a good principle in general in life to be saving, to be giving, and it's helped our kids even, and they've over the years asked, like, how much do you give and why do you give? And they've seen us, give to other ministries. Like, we've supported different, Compassion Children, and that's been a vital part of them seeing us give and be generous. And so we've been recipients, because we used to be in full-time ministry, of people's generosity. So I think it's just a good principle to live by.
Yeah. Another how for us is, so within that 80 that we're now living on, because we've given the 10 and saved the 10 right off the top, we're living within the 80. Every category that we can possibly think of that we would spend money on, every 30 days gets a number allotted to it, gets a spending limit allotted to it. And like we said before, when a category is at zero, it really is at zero until the next month. So I think just giving every category a number, saying this is where we're at. Obviously, the older we've gotten a little more flexible with this, but still, I think in principle, it's very, very helpful to have categories and to have limits within those categories.
Yeah, and I would say there are certain categories that we've had to, as just pricing changes, we've had to extend. Like, I can remember over the years, the groceries, I try really hard all throughout our marriage to try to keep us under grocery budgets, and there would just be seasons where, even though I'm trying my best, we keep getting past our number, and that's where we evaluate and say maybe that number isn't realistic anymore with cost of living and grocery prices. Like, I remember one stage, the boys were teenagers and they were just eating us out of house and home. So we had to, sometimes you have to adjust a category, and so then you look at another category, you're like, so if I give a little more here, I'll have a little bit more cushion in another category to give. So
definitely grace, definitely flexibility.
Yes.
But again, just objectively having it set, and then know that as it's set, there's obviously flexibility within it. And then lastly, and we talked about this in the previous video on not letting finances steal your joy, is we actually do use credit. We use it carefully. We use it intentionally. We talk some about that in that video. And really, I think about it as leveraging. There are people out there who will let us borrow money at 0% as long as I pay them back within 30 days. And there's a lot of reward to that if I can stay disciplined to that, if we're disciplined to pay it off every month, which we've absolutely always done, unless I've just simply forgotten and I let one pass, especially back in the days of check writing and all of that. But leveraging credit can be something that really is to your advantage as a couple. Just to close out, why is all this important? Why would we come back and do even a second content piece on budgeting, especially on a channel that talks about joy? One is because we really believe we didn't come into this world with anything. We won't leave this world with anything. Nothing is ultimately ours. It's all a gift from God. And so therefore, we're stewards. We don't own it. We want to be faithful stewards to what God has entrusted us with. And then lastly, we think applying what we've been talking about as it relates to finances can actually rescue from stress and rescue from confusion and actually bring joy.
And I would say that's true because I've shared in previous videos, I didn't grow up with budgeting and there wasn't a lot of joy around money. I can even remember planning for our wedding, how stressed I was trying to budget for the first time and figure out how in the world am I going to pay for this expensive event. But now that we've lived our life with budget and I know kind of these are our spending limits, it has helped me to view money so differently. It's not this desperation mentality.
That's good.
It's just helped me experience a lot more joy. And I feel like because we have lived below our means, it's allowed us to have opportunities of generosity that have just meant a lot. So I think it can add a lot of joy to your life.
Yeah, so we hope you're able to apply this in your own way. I hope even if this was helpful, maybe it's your first time to the channel, you would subscribe. That definitely helps the Joy Hub channel, and even pass the video on. Thanks for listening in, guys.
Have a great day.
Bye.